Did you listen to the episode today?
Yeah, I did
You
because
like the weird outtake beginning?
yeah, no, it was good.
Just a trio of body horror episodes. I forgot Together Breakfast ended in a horrifying manner too.
Yeah, it does kind of, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like, what if Cronenberg directed Steven Universe for 3 episodes?
Yeah.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Gay Space Rocks, Steven Universe Watching or Something Another podcast, where we watch Steven Universe or Something Another. I am your host, Brian. You can find me on Twitter at RoomwarePod, and you can find the show also on Twitter at GaySpacePod. With me, as always, is my co-host, August.
Hi, I'm August. I literally just waved at the microphone because that's the kind of dumb bitch I am. You can find me on Twitter at Harpydora, and my pronouns are they, them. No, I don't have pronouns today. Fuck it, don't refer to me.
Nah, fuck pronouns today. Also, you can find our podcasting guild on Twitter. It's at Stones_standing. It's the Standing Stones Podcasting Guild. Our Twitter handle is somewhat confusing.
It was the best we could do.
It's true, but I always mess it up when I'm trying to type it. So yeah, today we're talking about episodes 4 through 6 of Steven Universe, or as I'm going to now dub, the Cronenberg Trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah, it do be like that, huh?
It be the fuck like that. Also this week, when we're recording this, not when you're hearing this, because you're going to hear this in 2 weeks, but when we're recording this, it's officially the week of Ruby and Sapphire's anniversary, so happy anniversary to two lesbians in a trench coat. Those fake people. I guess the episode, I think it's the anniversary of the episode airing, which we'll get to in like 3 years or something.
It's fine.
And also, I saw this thing, I sent this to August. Apparently there's like a Steven Universe card deck builder game coming out called Beachapalooza that looks good. A Kickstarter, I guess, is going to start soon. But, like, it's a cute little deck building game, and the art looks really fun, and it's got, like, cool little, like, gem baubles. It looks fun, so keep an eye out for that, and maybe I'll talk about it when the Kickstarter goes live or something. So.
Yeah.
Yep. Other than that... Oh, go on, sorry.
We can kickstart it and then write it off on our taxes because money is fake and so is capitalism.
It's true, we could. So yeah, I looked around on Tumblr, or not Tumblr. Tumblr's dead. I looked around on Reddit. That's a website that's still not dead yet somehow.
Shit.
I was looking around the Steven Universe Reddit. I didn't find anything like super fun. Not necessarily anything bad. It's just like Steven Universe is the kind of Reddit that's like, it's for a show that is officially complete, and isn't trash fucking garbage in the same way that, say, I don't know, the Harry Potter fandom is. So like, there's not like a whole lot of good stuff on there. There's some good memes still.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of Steven Universe drama did happen on Tumblr. So maybe I don't know.
Maybe Tumblr is the place to get. I don't know how to deep dive on Tumblr. Like get way back in the shit. You know what I mean?
Maybe I'll do some digging.
Yeah, you're like an experienced Tumblr nut.
Yes.
I merely adopted the Tumblr. You were born in it. I saw something. It's been like people are calling the since the series is done the forever hiatus. I saw that referred to, so that's pretty good. We're like day 100 and something into the forever hiatus.
Oh my god.
So that's fun. So yeah, I guess, barring any kind of news. So if you're listening to this, I know this is episode 2. Thank you to all 6 people who are probably listening. And B, if there's some kind of Steven Universe shit you want us to look into, add us on Tumblr or come visit our Discord.
Add us on Twitter.
Twitter. What is wrong with me?
I mean, do you want alphabetically or chronologically?
Probably chronologically would probably be easier for me to keep up with, but but yeah, add us on either Twitter or there should be a link to our Discord in the description of the episode. If there's... there will be. I'm saying this so I'll remember it when I start editing the episode. But yeah, come join us on Discord. We have a fun Discord community. It mostly talks about our other shows, but today I made a channel for Gay Space Rocks, so maybe people will talk about that. But yeah, come talk to us. Tell us things you want to hear, because we'll generate content all the live long day. All right, I guess outside of that, probably need to get into the episodes this week. So, first up, episode 4 of season 1 of Steven Universe, Together Breakfast. The official synopsis is, Steven attempts to get the Crystal Gems to take part in his special breakfast tradition, but instead finds himself tumbling through magical rooms of the Crystal Temple. This doesn't seem... Okay, so first off, episode synopsises. None of these ever seem exactly correct about what's going on in the episode. This is not a breakfast tradition that Steven has created. He immediately is, he is just riffing on the stuff that he's finding in the kitchen. There is no tradition to speak of in this breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, it looks delightful. Dubstep, wobble bass, strawberry and all.
Yeah, but this was not pre-planned. By any means. Anyways, the actual episode. So the episode begins in the morning. Steven's looking for the Crystal Gems. They're not around. So regardless, he decides to start making breakfast. He starts with waffles. Basically, as he's adding stuff to the Together Breakfast, he's looking for the Crystal Gems. Finally, he gets the whole thing put together. Garnet warps in, and she stands in the same position for a long time, which I can only assume is some sort of weird animation budgetary concern where they don't have to animate Garnet, so that seems cheaper to make. Because she just stands there kind of holding her arm up in a weird position for an odd amount of time. She shows Steven a scroll that she says she has to burn. Steven says cool. Takes a picture of it with his phone. She takes his phone to burn it. I found that fucking hilarious, and I do not know why. I laughed my fucking ass off at that, and I no idea why.
When did this episode come out versus when did the whole Weeping Angels thing come out, where whatever has the likeness of an angel becomes an angel? Because it had very much that kind of vibe.
So Weeping Angels premiered, the first instance of Weeping Angels was in 2007. So this was way later than that.
Yeah.
So I guess there's that. Maybe it had that vibe. I thought it was a more of I was getting Necronomicon vibes, or The Ring or something like that. I just found her taking his phone just funny.
Yeah.
Then Amethyst shows up as the dumb police, shoots Steven with a squirt gun. Steven is legitimately upset about being called dumb, and I thought that was adorable. Then Pearl comes in with a sword that she found in Amethyst's room. She'd cleaned up Amethyst's room. She's very upset about it. Steven follows Pearl into her room, which is just all fountains and swords. He slips down one of the fountains into Amethyst's room, which is just basically a trash pile. Amethyst chases him for a little while. The whole time he's got the Together breakfast with him. He finds the crystal heart of the Crystal Temple. He falls down a tube into the bubble room, which I guess we'll explore later, but it's the room where all the bubbled gems go. And Garnet is burning Steven's phone, and the scroll turns into a weird smoke monster. Garnet's trying to control it. Steven's interference breaks her concentration. Smoke monster escapes, possesses the Together breakfast. The Together breakfast turns into an 80s horror monster. It acquires the powers of a breakfast, and is about to beat the crystal gems until Steven summons his inner strength and pushes the Together breakfast into the fire, burns it alive. Then we jump cut to the gems and Steven all making breakfast together. They make an even more breakfast, but they can't bring themselves to eat it because it tried to kill them earlier, and then they get pizza at the end.
Together to breakfast.
My very first note is backgrounds. I'm going to talk about this maybe once an episode, but I love the background shots of Steven Universe. Like, the background art for Steven Universe is so good, and that, like, initial opening scene of Steven opening up the windows and, like, the beach scene and everything like that, I thought looked really, really good.
Yeah, I noted backgrounds a couple of times as well, especially, like, during the waterfall ride. That stuff was just so gorgeous.
Yeah. Art in this show, super good. Also, I noticed when Steven is making breakfast for himself, and this will kind of evolve, because, like, it's obvious that, like, the gems take care of Steven, but Steven takes care of Steven a lot.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Steven makes the entire breakfast with, like, the safe appliances. Like, he uses a toaster and a microwave to make the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is like because he's like, I don't know, like 11 or something like that in these episodes. So it's pretty, I feel like that's very kid, like, they do a good job of, like, making Steven feel like a kid, like an actual kid, at least initially. Yeah. He'll grow up real fast soon. Shit's gonna go real bad for this little guy, so let's let him have a good time right now.
Yeah, I did note that too, that it was very interesting to me that, like, Steven has almost a latchkey kid vibe here, because it's like his moms are out doing their jobs, which just happen to be dealing with alien artifacts or whatever.
Right.
And they do take care of Steven, but they also trust him to be in charge of his own destiny somewhat. Which, I'll come back to this point in Frybo probably, because I have another note about that in Frybo.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
He's definitely a kid, but he's allowed a certain amount of responsibility, but there is definitely some latchkey kid vibes here.
Right. He's like a kid with, like, parents who are working. Like, all of his parents are working. Like, the gems, they're out there doing their thing. His dad is working very hard. I'm not going to talk about it, but, like, I like the evolution of Greg is very fun in this series. In hindsight, there's so much, like, subtle little, like, clue dropping about stuff that goes on in this series that I'm already noticing, because this is like, this is episode 4, and, like, they're already putting out the hints there that, like, Garnet is a fusion, like, in pretty clear ways, and when you watch it in hindsight.
Yeah.
Which the debate, like, the amount of people who are like, Garnet's not a fusion, back in the day, it was very, very interesting. I need to find some of that debate. I'm gonna find more of that debate when we get closer to the end of this season. I also found this episode very funny. I do not know why. Just
It was hilarious.
It's true. Like, everything was just dumb, and I love it. I love stupid, dumb humor. Steven just, like, Garnet just deadpan about everything always kills me.
What was up with that wobble-based strawberry?
I love, like, again, not a note that I've made, but, like, the music in this show is the fucking shit. Like, I love it. It slaps so hard.
Mm-hmm.
The musicians who are, like, the in-house musicians for Steven Universe, they are fucking phenomenal. Also, like, I loved the, like, Garnet and Pearl having, like, big mom vibes, and then Amethyst has, like, big sister vibes.
Yeah.
Because, like, Garnet or Amethyst hardly never comes off as, like, Steven's mom, really. She always comes off as, like, Steven's big sister.
Yeah.
And this was a very their dynamic in this particular episode was very like very siblingish to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that we, as if we needed any more confirmation, Pearl is the queen of all sword lesbians.
Yeah, I wrote down Pearl as sword-owning anime nerd confirmed. I also wrote down that she's a dramatic bitch. But I do want to make a note. So I actually ended up watching 5, 6, and then 4 because I was trying to watch on the TV with Anya, but the TV wouldn't read episode 4. So we watched 5 and 6, and then I came back and watched 4 later.
You mean from the entirely legit streaming service that we watched this on?
Yeah. Yes, entirely. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought it was really interesting. I really enjoy how playful Amethyst is with regards to her physical form, because, like, you know, that'll come up later in the episodes that we watched, but it's nice to see that it's already, like, early, you know, relatively early on, and we're already seeing that with her and the shenanigans that she pulls in this episode.
It's like a core character concept with Amethyst, that she is very fluid with her form. Like she's of the 3 crystal gems that we primarily interact with, she's the one most likely to, like, change her body on a regular basis, which you'll see much more going forward. But it's true, like they do a lot of, like, again, like, in 11 minutes, they lay a lot of fucking groundwork. Is like they pack as much shit as they can into 11 minutes without it still feeling like it still doesn't feel like rushed or overstuffed.
Mm-hmm.
I also like that the sister vibes with Amethyst continue when she's, like, chasing Steven. When it's obvious, like, I feel like she doesn't actually give a shit about that breakfast. She's just fucking with Steven.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if Steven realizes that, but she's definitely just fucking with him. And because, like, because she just turns it off the second she's like, Steven, hey, you're on a dangerous thing now, buddy.
Yeah.
Every one of these episodes has at least one moment, if not the entire thing, is horrifying. Because, like, when the breakfast is possessed, it's like, oh, this is just an awful this is an awful monster.
Yeah. Yeah. It has all the powers of a balanced meal.
Well, it's a stacked meal, at least. I love Amethyst and just Pearl being like, it's horrible, just being, like, absorbed by whipped cream. And I don't know why I found the giant waffle thing so fucking funny, but I did.
I mean, it's pretty absurd.
I think we get a hint, I feel like, at Steven's powers here too. So, like, because he, like, you'll see it when he's more concerned about, like, protecting people. Like, protection is the thing that really, like, makes Steven's powers sort of come on.
Yeah.
And, like, so as things progress, we'll see more and more of Steven's powers. But one of the things that he has is like super strength. Like he's extremely strong. Once his powers are kind of like fully there, and I think we start to see that when he's like afraid for the crystal gems. Like he just like picks this whole fucking giant monster up and just like, nope, yeet, and puts it in the big fire. So it was nice to start seeing bits and pieces of like what Steven can do.
Yeah.
Outside of his shield.
Well, I mean, you could argue that it's sort of an extension of his shield because of how, like, he chooses to wield it, and I just knocked my desk. I'm sorry, Brian.
It's okay.
But, yeah, I found that part very interesting because he was not terribly... he was kind of interested in, like, saving himself, but it was really when... his family was in danger that he was able to fight the monster back, which I mean that's also like a really big like magical girl / shonen fighting anime trope, so it makes sense.
Yeah, Steven Universe is definitely an anime.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is an anime show. So yeah,
I did
go on.
I did have a note here about Steven after he shoves the monster into the fire. I guess I dreamed too big. Like, that is incredibly fucking sad that quote-unquote dreaming too big is wanting to have breakfast with your guardians. Like, that is just so fucking sad.
I know, it's like, and it's not like the gems are not... Like, at no point are they, like, malicious about Steven. And it's not like they dislike spending time with Steven, but at the beginning of this episode, it's more... Like, especially, like, Garnet and Pearl are, like... Yeah, they're doing the, like, put-upon parent thing, Like, Garnet's like, listen, I've got to go take care of this shit. And Pearl's like, yeah, that's good, sweetie. Like... And all Steven's wanting to do is just, like, spend time with them.
Yeah.
And... Because, like, that... Like, very early on in the show, like, a lot of... Steven's motivation is about wanting to spend more time with the crystal gems or be, air quotes, be a crystal gem,
Mm-hmm.
As we'll get to in, like, Cat Fingers, where he's, like, one of his main concerns is, like, he's never going to go on the magical adventures again. Like, that's what he wants to... He just wants to spend time with the gems. And it's really, like, it's a very... It grounds a lot of the issues in this very, like, kid-shaped, like, easy to identify with when you're younger motivation.
Yeah.
Without it being... Again, like, this is a kid show that is having trust in its younger audience to get what the fuck they're trying to say here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I think that... that sort of message would certainly speak to, like, a kid about Steven's age, or, like, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah. And I also thought that it was, we saw this in the last episodes that we watched, but it's good to kind of have this reinforced that, like, the gems aren't blaming Steven over this. Like, he's a kid, he fucks up, but ultimately, like, I'd kind of blame them because he's pretty obviously saying, hey, I need attention, and they weren't giving it to him.
Right. And that's a thing that's always interesting, is that the gems are very rarely blameless in a situation. Like, they aren't... I don't think ever they're, like... They're portrayed as, like, good, supportive guardians for Steven. And even Greg too, like, but they're never portrayed as, like, like, they make mistakes fucking constantly, and the show goes through great lengths to show you people making mistakes and then people being forgiven for those mistakes, or the people making up for those mistakes, which will, in season 2, there's definitely a lot of that. There's, like, a whole bomb related to that, I think. But it's an interesting thing that they go through in the show, is, like, people are going to make mistakes, and we're going to show you how how people, like, make up for those mistakes.
Yeah.
Or don't, sometimes. Sometimes it takes them a long fucking time to get around to it. Pearl.
Yeah, I mean, part of this, I can't help but wonder if this isn't... I don't know if this is supposed to be, like, convenient plot device, or, like, I can't help but reading some of this and as some of their, like, failings as guardians, the crystal gems, I mean. I don't know what Greg's deal is yet, but, like, the gems are very clearly aliens. It's like, you know, is this meant to communicate something about how they don't know... Oh my god. Don't scare me like that, computer. Sorry, my monitors fell asleep. And since I have a computer that actually, like, properly enters sleep mode, it's like, oh shit, don't do this. Anyway, if it's meant to communicate how they have difficulties relating to Stephen as a largely human child.
I think it's because they are Stephen's guardians, but they're not, like, you know, we call, you know, the crystal gems are air quotes Stephen's moms, right? But they're not really Stephen's moms. They're his guardians. So they you know, Rose, you know, for effect, like, you know, the allegory in the story is like Rose died and now they have to take care of this kid that they weren't necessarily prepared for, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's like people have to take care of kids that they're not prepared for all the time, and that doesn't make them any less parents.
Nah, that's true. That's true. I think,
like you could... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Some of it is like them treating... They kind of get into the duality of, like, what Stephen feels like about not 100% being a human, or not feeling like he fits in as a human, you know? Because, like, as the series progresses, Stephen becomes less and less like the human protagonist. You know, we get another character to be like the grounding, I'm the human here. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're using them not relating to him as like a human, as like more of an allegory of like parents not being able to relate to their kids when dealing with their own issues. So, I don't know. It's a good point, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, they're definitely like meant to show like a blended family. Like, that is 100% what's going on here.
Right, exactly, for sure.
Yeah, I think, the last thing I had written down is, man, they suck as guardians sometimes, huh?
Oh, so. They do. We'll get into more of their not being the world's greatest guardians as the series progresses.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to episode 5, Friday.
Oh, boy.
Because we have to. What the fuck is a boardie? Is that what they're calling the townies? Anyways.
I guess. Like,
the official synopsis
boardwalk.
is... Yeah, I guess the official synopsis is Stephen helps a boardie kid with his grueling job by using a magical gem shard that can bring clothing to life. That is basically, I guess that's what happens. So the episode starts off with Stephen searching for his pants when Pearl comes in. It's a good setup. She's searching for a gem shard. She starts talking to Stephen about how dangerous the gem shard is, but Stephen is lost in his own internal monologue. The pants run by in the background, and it fucking slayed me.
It was very good.
Because, like, the camera doesn't try and focus on it. It's just, like, it's there. So Stephen discovers his pants, running around. He chases them down, gets them on, makes a terrible joke about wearing the pants in the relationship.
I wrote down, in Soviet Russia, pants wear you, not realizing exactly where the rest of this episode was going. So
Stephen goes down to town trying to find Pearl to give her this gem shard back. When he runs into his friend Petey, who's in the Frybo costume being accosted by seagulls, which is the real, actual scariest part of this episode I could possibly think of.
Yeah.
Petey doesn't want to be Frybo. He's the son of Mr. Fryman, the bits guy, that we had previously seen in episode 2. Is that Laser Light Cannon? Yeah, that's episode 2. So Petey's like, I don't want to wear this costume. Steven's like, I've got an idea. And then he gets in the costume and is accosted by seagulls. And then he's like, well, let's try this other idea. And he puts the gem shard in it. Frybo comes to life. He grows terrifying fry legs. And then Steven and Petey go off and let Frybo do his thing. Petey has an existential crisis. They hear screaming from the fry shop. Frybo has gone buck fucking wild. He's attacking townies. He's shoving fries into people's faces. He attacks Petey's dad. Petey's dad gives this heartfelt monologue, thinking that his son is still in the Frybo costume, even though it's obviously come to life somewhat.
Well, I mean, like, this just kind of demonstrates how, like, weird life in Beach City is, that Mr. Fryman, like, the Frybo costume is accosting things with tentacle fries, and Mr. Fryman doesn't bat an eyelash about the possibility that his kid is in there just fucking doing that.
Right, exactly. Like, oh, this is just how things are. Steven tries to fight Frybo. Pearl shows up, also fights Frybo, stabs it in the eye. It does this horrifying... It bleeds mustard and ketchup. It's awful.
Yeah.
The whole thing is awful. Steven uses the remaining crystal shards that Pearl had to animate all of his clothing, including his underwear. So he's buck naked, fighting this fucking fry monster. They eventually tear the gem out of it. And then they give Frybo a Viking funeral. The end.
I have Frybo is terrifying written down here twice in two separate locations.
He's terrifying twice. He's like, exactly, like his first appearance is awful.
And his second appearance is even worse because I have that written down in fucking capital letters.
To start off with, Steven and I have the same, apparently, system for organizing laundry, which is put it in a pile somewhere.
Yeah.
I feel a lot.
I used to do that, so I'm right there with you. Pearl saying, you're a mess, Steven. I'm just like, fucking mood.
True. No, Steven says that about himself.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't think Pearl would be that mean. Steven's internal monologue while Pearl is talking is like the most ADHD mood.
Yeah.
Like that is me sometimes when people talk at me. I'm just like catch up at the end of the conversation like, uh-huh. That's me at work constantly. Like, oh, I just spaced out in the middle of this. I got the first in the beginning. I'll put the middle parts together. The pants gag is great.
It is.
It's so good. It's just like the pants running around in the background, and then Steven pointing at them and being like, "That's unusual."
Yeah.
You can feel it's in the comedy, the parts where they're trying to be funny. You can feel a lot of the residual Adventure Time vibes coming through. Yes. I think. Yes.
And actually, I have it written down 3 times that Frybo is terrifying.
Good. I didn't expect for this episode to be like these 3 episodes just to be back-to-back horror. I don't know what was going on.
It's fine.
When he first meets Petey, like Petey is a hilarious character, especially as the series goes on. But in this episode, like I feel like the real horror of this episode is Petey.
No, the real horror of the episode. Okay, they're actually Okay. So there are 2 separate threads here. One of which I actually wrote a whole bunch about, and one of which I only like vaguely touched on in my notes, but which is like in the front of my mind through most of watching this episode. The true horror here is like what capitalism does to people and their self-worth and how they view their family and things like that. Like, that is the crux of what's going on with Petey here.
It's very true. Like, Petey's monologue is like the most like broken, like corporate, like just like burned out by the capitalist machine. Fucking like some character in Fight Club would give the monologue that Petey gave.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I wrote here, Petey is a boomer icon.
Shit.
Petey is the oldest character in Steven Universe.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I guess kind of skipping ahead slightly since we're on the subject of like Petey and his monologue, like I found the juxtaposition, wow, that's how you say that word, the juxtaposition of Petey talking about a quote-unquote real job as being something that produces versus Steven talking about the Crystal's jobs, which is, when you boil it down, it's service to the community. And, you know, Petey, who is steeped in the capitalist ideals that have presumably been given to him by his father, kind of like devaluing that kind of service. And it's also interesting the way that, you know, the gems are typically represented as being female, even though they're fucking rocks.
They're female. Yeah.
And so that work is devalued by society. It's, you know, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, that's true. And like Steven is regularly like, you know, the smile, like Steven is, you know, it's the juxtaposition between like trying to produce something and doing something because it's fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
Like Steven obviously, like, you know, if you're taking it in like the purely metaphorical sense here, like Steven is doing his air quotes job because he finds it interesting and fulfilling and fun to him. Like, it's the thing he wants to do.
Yeah.
And Petey is doing his job because is the thing he has to do. And that's it is a lot. It's a whole lot.
Well, there's also the other level of both of these kids are doing these things to gain approval from their parents. Because Petey wanted to do this because he wanted his dad's approval, basically, or at least that's what I got out of the situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, Steven, you know, very clearly wants the approval of and to do things with the gems.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're both seeking this parental sort of, you know, like rubber stamp on the activities that they do. I guess, like, the difference is, like, Steven likes this thing, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge difference.
Then we get back to Frybo being the worst thing.
Yeah.
I forgot the part where he gets stabbed in the eye and then bleeds.
Yeah, it's a lot. And Pearl getting a face full of ketchup and just being like, oh, I can't see. Pearl is such a dramatic bitch.
She is. She's a messy bitch who lives for drama, and I love her.
I love her so much.
It just, that fucking Petey being like, I hate you, I've always hated you.
Mm-hmm.
The Steven mobilizing his underwear is the weirdest thing I've ever had to see with my human eyes. I feel like I blocked it out.
Thing you've had to see with your raccoon eyes, though?
I've seen some shit with my raccoon eyes. Fucking that awful joke when he pulls the gym out of the Frybo. When I showed my butt, I knew he'd crack.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's so bad, but it really is the kind of thing a fucking 11-year-old boy would say.
It's true. He loves puns so much.
Yeah.
Protect him. No one will.
It was nice that Mr. Fryman basically told Petey that he has value, whether he's, quote unquote contributing.
Yeah, like
or
Fryman,
not.
Mr. Fryman realizes like, oh, I've fucked up. I've done like when Mr. Fryman thinks his kid's become a horrible eldritch monster, and it's just chill with that part. Is just like, oh no, I have pushed my son too hard. This is all my fault. I realize what I've done. And I think that's coming back to like what we were saying. Someone's like, the show does a good job about showing parents fucking up and then trying to do their best to like make up for that mistake. Like Mr. Fryman's like, oh, okay, I have fucked up here clearly. I have made my son like extremely unhappy to the point he's become a terrifying monster and is murdering people. I must talk him down. Like, no anger or maliciousness in Mr. Fryman's voice.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, so the main thing that I took a bunch of notes about kind of relates to like parents fucking up. Because like the whole thing with Frybo kind of like harkens back to, a lot of the different folklore about like constructs that have been given life through, either magic or, in some cases scientific, if you're going off of like Frankenstein's monster or certain robots or whatever.
Right.
Specifically like to serve the community. And a lot of those stories are allegories for like understanding the gravity of bringing new life into this world and taking responsibility for treating that life with respect and teaching it how to properly navigate the world, teaching it like the proper values of like community and caring about others. And this is definitely one of those stories, except it's like technically Steven is the one who fucks up. Especially because, you've got the whole, Steven not realizing, oh, hey, this is something that, takes what I say very literally because it's essentially a baby that has no understanding of the world. And so, like, it was just interesting to see Steven being the parent who fucked up. And it was also interesting that he absolutely did not try to hide his mistakes when Pearl was asking him what was going on.
I love that.
Like,
Pearl, did you put the Jim in the Frybo costume? Yes. Didn't you hear me talking about all the death? No.
Yeah, but it was also good because it's like he didn't feel the need to hide that.
That's
like,
what,
it wasn't.
Steven doesn't understand the idea of like lying to the crystal gems, at least not at this point. Like, he doesn't feel the need that I have messed up. They're going to be mad at me. Like, it's like I've messed up, they're going to help me,
Yeah.
He understands that, like, by admitting his mistakes to the crystal gems, they will help him with the problem.
Yes.
Which is a weird... That's not how relationships with parents work. Pfft, fantasy bullshit.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I did think that was very interesting. You see that, you see that referenced a lot with like the Jewish tradition of the golem. And I just thought that was very interesting, especially given the themes of parental fucking up.
Yeah, that's fair. I hadn't thought. I don't know as much about that, but that's a really interesting. That's like a really interesting point. And you have it is. It's sort of like showing how that. I think you can kind of extrapolate from that thing that you're saying, like showing how that issue gets compounded generationally, because it goes from like Mr. Fryman down to Petey, and then sort of into Steven. Steven definitely fucked up here. It gets a little muddled when we get to the Steven area, I feel like. But
yeah,
did you say something?
No.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
I was just agreeing with you.
And
a little bit meowed at one point.
Okay, that's what I heard. Hi, a little bit. So yeah. I enjoyed all of Steven's clothes giving the Frybo costume a Viking funeral.
Yeah.
That's just so weird art-wise. I feel like at least in these 3 episodes, the artists were just going fucking ham. They're just like, we're gonna draw the weirdest shit. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
A hundo. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to cat fingers.
Hoo boy.
They are burying the lead really hard on this official synopsis. So, episode 6 of season 1, Cat Fingers. Steven attempts to master the power of shapeshifting, but he can only manage to shapeshift his fingers into tiny cat heads. That's not what happens in this episode, official synopsis.
Yeah, official synopsis. Did you even watch
I don't think
this
they
episode?
watched this show. So, episode begins with Steven and Greg. They're cleaning Mayor Dewey's van. It's a van with a big version of Mayor Dewey's head on top of it. They have a little bit of a water fight. A cat shows up that's clearly Amethyst. Greg is confused by this. Don't know why. He's hung out with these gems for a long time. They make Greg way more naive in these early episodes, and by the things get like later on, he's like, yeah, the gems are just weird and I don't hang out with them. So Amethyst, they go back to the temple. Steven asks Pearl if all crystal gems can shapeshift, and Pearl's like, yeah, we can shapeshift. We can turn into objects or animals or, a version of me spanking my own butt and going honk for some reason.
Yeah.
And Steven asks Amethyst to show him shapeshifting powers. So Steven tries to turn into the cat that Amethyst was. He only accomplishes turning one of his fingers into a tiny cat head, which initially is in fact very cute. Steven goes and shows his dad, who is understandably a little freaked out, but supportive of his son's decisions. Then he goes to get a donut. Sadie and Lars, my 2 favorite townies, are like, oh, that's cool. And like, Sadie pets the cat, and she's like, why are you making it purr? It's like, oh, I'm not really doing that. Lars suggests that the cat needs more friends. Steven turns the rest of his hand into tiny cat fingers. Then he ends up with 2 hands worth of cat fingers. It's causing him problems because the cat fingers don't like to be fingers. The gems head on out on the gem sloop to go fight a living island, or so says Amethyst. Steven tries to chase after them, but cannot because the cat fingers, they hate being wet. Pearl freaks out when she realizes all of Steven's fingers are fucking cats, but they have to go fight the living island. Steven tries to uncat finger his fingers, but in fact turns more parts of himself into cats. He goes to his dad, where he's become a horrifying fucking cat head monster. It's the fucking worst thing in the world. Greg is like, oh my god, my son. They realize water is the key. Greg sprays it with a hose. It doesn't do it, so he has to go through the car wash. It's this whole fucking thing. At the end, the gems come back. Pearl is understandably very doting on Steven. She's like, you should never listen to Amethyst. Amethyst is like, yeah, you probably should never listen to me. Garnet gives Steven credit for figuring his own problem out. Steven makes cat puns. Fade to black. Star wipe. So cat fingers.
I have written down here, someone watched Akira one too many times, TBH.
Oh my god. Yeah, you're right. This is the most, like, we had Evangelion arrived on Steven Universe in our last episode, and fucking Akira is here this week. In multiple forms, frankly.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention in episode 5. So all of the townies who are getting attacked by Frybo, we will get literally, there are like no background characters in Steven Universe, because every person in that scene who's like a background character getting attacked by Frybo, literally every one of them is going to get a spot, like multiple spotlight episodes. Which is great. I love the town. I love, like, they make you give a fuck about Beach City as this series goes on. I do like the slow escalation of shit. Like, shit just slowly goes wrong in this episode.
Yeah.
And the one cat finger is, in fact, actually pretty cute. At least I thought so.
I mean, I guess that just goes to show that, like, all things in moderation.
That's right, kids.
One head on a cat, cute. 50 heads on a cat, probably less cute.
Probably. Maybe. Depends on the cat, I feel like.
Yeah. The first note I had was that it is nice to see Steven bonding with Greg. I'm still not 100% clear on, like, the exact shape of their relationship, but it is nice that Greg is in his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't 100% know why Greg lives in a van all the time. But I know that, like, I mean, the gyms don't have real jobs. So somebody pays for all of Steven's food and clothes and everything. So yeah. Greg is doing, like, making sure his kid's taken care of in some way, shape, or form by washing the mayor's van. And then Mayor Dewey being, like, the slimiest politician. Like, thank you for free stuff, peon.
Yeah.
Mayor Dewey. Clap, clap, clap. It's got, like, a hockey chant vibe. I've realized that.
It really does.
The weird little antagonistic relationship between, like, Amethyst and Pearl is pretty fun.
Yeah. I do think that, so shape-shifting like this in general, like, just as a trans person, is just very interesting to me. It's very clear that Amethyst could look like anything that she wants to look like. So what does that tell us about her character design? Like, you know, how much of her character design in universe is intentional for her? And it also, like, the entire episode, like, I have mixed feelings about, like, what is this supposed to be saying about body modification? And, like, I can't tell if it's necessarily making a value judgment about body modification, or I don't know. Like, some parts of this episode are interesting and some parts of them just don't sit well with me as I don't want to use the term transhumanist because that's got a whole bunch of eugenics baggage, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. What are the parts that don't, like... So, I think Pearl is generally more of a concern... Like, so the thing that we'll come to find out, I'm just going to kind of go ahead and spoil it here, like, Pearl and Garnet come from, like, the gym homeworld.
Mm-hmm.
Amethyst did not. Amethyst was, like, born and made on Earth. And is much younger, never experienced gym culture. Which is interesting because I think right here they're starting to set up the fact that, like, Amethyst doesn't really act like the other two.
Yeah.
Which is very and is in fact more in line personality-wise with Steven than she is with the other crystal gems.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think part of that is, like, everybody's relationship evolves. Like, we got a long way to go on this series. And
yeah, well.
Yeah. And the shape-shifting stuff is interesting because, like, I think Pearl isn't, like... I don't think Pearl thinks the shape-shifting is weird. I think that she, like, doesn't want Amethyst to keep acting all, like, weird and irresponsible.
Well, I mean, I'm also talking, like, from the perspective of the narrative, because, like, Steven is trying really hard to alter his body, and it ends up, like, turning him into a blob of cat faces. Like, I don't know, I can't suss out what the show wants me to take away from that. And
I don't know if it's... I wonder if it's returning to the theme that we've been seeing in the other three, like the other two episodes, of like the gems are not doing a great job about showing Steven how to actually, like, they don't know how Steven's powers work by comparison to their own powers, and so they're not doing a great job about preparing Steven about how these things are going to work for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, Amethyst just is like, oh, he turned his cat into a finger and then pisses off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe they're returning to that theme of, like, this weird disconnect between the gems and Steven, and they're not understanding him and what he necessarily needs. Because in this episode, he has to go find that help, the solution for the problem in his other guard. Like, the gems aren't there to help him, so he has to go to his other guardian to help him with this problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely see some of that, and I have a little bit about that written down too.
I do love Greg's line of, like, that's pretty cool, and I wrote down here, Greg, that's pretty cool. Translation, Jesus, what the fucking fuck.
Yeah, like, Greg choosing to be a supportive father is very, you know, it's very nice. Like, it's clear he does not understand what's going on, and that he finds it clearly off-putting, but because he loves Steven, he's going to support him in whatever Steven wants to do.
Right. And then we also come back to the town, like Sadie is just like, oh, Steven can turn his finger into a cat. That's cool. Like, not...
Yeah.
Like, I guess weird stuff just... Why does Ronaldo need a blog to keep Beach City weird? It seems that's just weird enough that everyone accepts it all.
Yeah. Yeah, the weird ain't going anywhere, Ronaldo. Nah, it's fine. You can chill.
Weird is here to stay. I love how mean Lars is.
Lars is so shitty.
He's such a shitty teenage boy.
It's very fun.
It's so good. Lars and Sadie are my favorites.
I don't know. So maybe the shape-shifting backfiring is meant to be like, I don't know, like, don't let your desire to change yourself ruin your life.
It could be, because like a lot of the time, like, the escalation isn't like every time he got to more cat fingers, right? It's like he was showing off this power.
Mm-hmm.
And then he pushed himself too hard. Maybe that's what it's trying to say. Like, I don't know. The message is rather mixed here.
Yeah. Although, like, it is... I do like the way that Greg has to be the one to kind of, like, ground Steven. And I loved the whole, you know, Steven being like, I'm a monster, and Greg being like, you're not a monster, you're my son.
Yeah, that was very sweet.
It was incredibly heartwarming. And it's nice, like, Greg is not a magically inclined individual. He seems to be just a bog standard human being, but he's still, I don't want to say useful, but
he can still get shit done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Greg is definitely like, when this will come up during the show, like, Greg obviously doesn't understand what's going on, but when something is happening and he feels like he needs to do something, he's more than willing to just get in there and fucking do it when he has to.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Gyms have a sloop because people thought the words gym sloop was funny together.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I do really enjoy the fact that the Gems are off having adventures off screen. Just because I'm one of those people, like, one of my favorite tropes is the idea of things that happen after the great big adventure, or things that are happening, off to the side of the great big adventure. So, keeping the frame focused on Steven while the Gems are going off and saving the world is just very fun to me. And I enjoy how the team feels like they can just throw out a bunch of random bullshit because they don't have to actually cash the check that they're writing with, we have to go fight a living island.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's very fun. Like, they do, it helps build the world in a very, like, interesting way. Because eventually, like, right now we're focusing on very grounded Steven problems. Like, but eventually, like, the scope grows over the 5 seasons. But it lets you know, like, oh yeah, all this stuff is gonna be there. Like, it's out there, and we're gonna get to it eventually. But right now, Steven's got all these cat fingers we gotta deal with.
Yeah.
I like Steven being like, it's nothing, I just turned all my fingers into cats, is basically every time I'm sick and people are like, you need to go to the doctor. I'm like, nah, it's just a little cough. I feel like it's that same energy.
Yeah.
The music when Steven is the cat monster at the car wash really helps to sell the mood.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, the music in this show slaps.
It is very choice.
I also wrote, this is like an adorable version of the end of The Fly, when Steven is like it's very much like turn on the car wash is the same vibe of like the fly monster picking up the shotgun in The Fly. I feel like.
Jesus Christ. I don't think you're wrong, is the thing.
Just like I think here again we see Steven like going through great lengths to protect, like Steven calls upon this like great strength to like keep the horde of cat monsters from attacking Greg by like holding them back with like obscene amount of strength for an 11-year-old child.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you're right. I saw it as, I think what the intent, because like with Garnet comes, when the gems come back at the end, I think maybe we get a bit of what the moral is, the text is trying to say the moral is supposed to be, of like, Steven, because like, Pearl talks about overdoing it, and then so does Amethyst. She's like, you don't want to go too hard too fast. At the beginning. And then Steven sort of does when he's showing off to all the townie people. But then he, with the help of Greg, but, it's Steven who figures out what the solution of the problem is. Greg just helps him enact it. And it's about Steven, like, pushing himself too hard, getting in too deep, but then being able to figure out a way back out of it without needing some, like, no one, people helped him, but he figured out the solution.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what we're going for with the moral?
Maybe. Like I said, it's just as a trans person who would 1,000,000,000% do a bunch of random bullshit if they had shape-shifting powers. Like, this episode just felt really weird.
That's fair. I don't know if it necessarily, like, obviously I don't have that perspective.
Yeah.
And I am, part of my review of this is also, like, I'm not necessarily separating it from the wider show, especially, like, I'm trying to keep it in the context of season 1, because that would be obviously by the time they get to season 3, they didn't have, they may have had an outline for that, but they didn't have, like, a firm understanding of what they're doing. And the show evolves as things go on, as shows do. But the season 1 stuff is interesting because they definitely do talk about, like, they don't necessarily get, like, deep into gender stuff. And the shape-shifting becomes, like, just, especially when it comes to Amethyst, Steven doesn't shapeshift as much, probably because Steven's traumatized about shapeshifting now that I think about it.
Gee, I wonder why.
Weird. But Amethyst just, like, she shapeshifts constantly as the show goes on. And it's not really commented on, except there's another episode, but I think it has we're going to have another shapeshift. I think maybe they come at this again. I don't know if it's in this season or if it's in next season, but it's another Amethyst in shapeshifting episode where I think they come at this same idea again, and maybe they have a clearer, more concise message about it and, like, self-representation and stuff like that. So,
okay,
we'll get to that when that comes up. Okay, I think that's what.
I don't understand.
Yeah, because I wasn't talking to you. Let's see. All right, so that concludes episodes 4, 5, and 6. Next time we're going to be watching episodes 7, 8, and 9. Bubble Buddies. I'm so excited.
Oh boy.
Serious Steven, and then Tiger Millionaire, the wrestling episode.
Oh, I have seen Tiger Millionaire before.
Oh, sweet.
It was before you and Anya completed my transformation into somebody who likes wrestling, but I have seen Tiger Millionaire before.
Tiger Millionaire is a pretty good one. Actually, these next 3 episodes are good and not horrifying at all. So that would be nice. We don't get another horrifying episode until So Many Birthdays, so that's fun.
Oh boy.
But I'm so excited for Bubble Buddies because we get we're gonna get Connie, so that's nice. I'm excited for Connie to join the show.
Jade Harley looking motherfucker.
I don't know who's Jade Harley.
She's a character from Homestuck, and her character design is very similar to Connie's.
I mean, I'm looking at this character. This character has no arms and glasses, and that's all, and feet. I'm not seeing it.
Anyway.
We'll have this discussion next time.
Yes.
So yeah, like I said, hit us up on Twitter. I'm at RoomwarePod. You can find the show at Gay Space Pod. Hit up our podcasting guild at @stones_standing. You can find August. Talk about where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me on the internet because I live here at Harpydora on Twitter. The other podcast I do at FTLcast, and also Dumb Kids Playing Hero, which Brian is on. he rolls really well. It's very frustrating.
It is. Dante should be dead. Uh, you can also check us out on our Twitch. It's twitch.com/roomwarepod for now. We'll be switching over to the Standing Stones Twitch once we finish Metal Gear Solid. We're getting to the very end. We're nearing the end of Metal Gear Solid 5, and our purgatory will soon end. We will bid adieu to Hatsalot.
Oh boy.
And Big Boss and all of the bottoms on Mother Base. It's going to be so weird when we switch over to BioShock, but we carry the same energy into BioShock.
You know, it's what the people want.
It's true. And by the people, just us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hit us up on Twitter. Join our Discord. Our Discord is very nice. It's a very fun, nice place full of nice people. And I guess until next time, fuck capitalism, Petey. Petey, fuck capitalism, buddy. Go home. Go home, Petey.